Awesome. So I know for anime fans of my generation, my first exposure to your work was through Digimon. And looking back on 15 years, or at least coming up on the 15th anniversary of that show, could you just kind of give me your reflection on your participation in that show, not simply as a voice actress, because I know you did script adaptation as well.
I directed the first season of Digimon and cast the show too. My best memories of Digimon is little TK, because he's just my favoriteest of all the little Digimons. I just, fell in love with that character in that show, and it was a really fun thing to be a part of because it was so cutting edge technologically. And dealing with a title that was dealing with cyberspace and computers and all of that was actually very cutting edge at the time. So that was wonderful, and we had the opportunity to bring in a very big cast, a lot of people over the course of the seasons. So lots of good memories, but primarily I was in the director's seat most of the time on that show.
Okay.
I did some singing voices for the show too. I did the singing voice for Mimi and several other characters, yes.
Now, they just announced last week that they will be bringing a third season of Adventure
no idea.
out in spring. Yeah, so it's going to be taking place with them all in high school now.
Oh, that's cute.
Is that something you would kind of want to be involved in when it comes to the United States?
Yeah. It becomes a tradition and you get nostalgic. You want to be a part of it when you start a show out and it does well. You want to continue to be a part of it.
Sure. Now, beyond Digimon, obviously there's so many shows, more than 200 roles that you've been in. Could you just name a few for our audience as far as, your personal favorites?
Okay. Well, let's see. I'll start at the top because she just won't get out of my head every time I think of my roles. But starting with Faye Valentine from Bebop, of course. I've often mentioned Charlotte from Vampire Hunter D. She had a really beautiful sort of pathos and tragic love that was just so beautiful and goth and gorgeous. So she was really fun to play. I loved Kione. Let's see. Oh God, see, this is so hard for me. I'm blanking on all of my roles. Let me rephrase. Sometimes I restart, so edit. Okay. So in addition to Faye Valentine, who I adore and is probably the closest to my heart, I loved playing Konata on Lucky Star because she's a total slacker and so cool. And I love Yoruichi on Bleach. She's just so tough and wise and ancient, but in a beautiful young form. And of course, I love Haruhi Suzumiya. And that completely works in line with the control freak in me, and so that's awesome. But yeah, I have a lot of characters. Actually, I've got over 300 series, so yeah, I've got a lot of voices in my head.
Right.
The people close to me know this.
Now, beyond anime, you've also done some live action stuff, and you've done a lot of video games. I'm assuming these all sort of present their own series of challenges.
Sure. They do. Really, our biggest challenge in our field is that the biggest challenges in our field are really that we need to move very quickly and maintain high efficiency on very tight budgets. Post-production generally doesn't have a lot of money left over. Once you get to post and you've got a completed production, there's not a lot of money left. So everything is sort of done on the cheap or tight, very, very financially efficient. Let me back up again. God, I'm so tongue-tied. I haven't slept much. Production tends to be very tightly coordinated so that it runs very efficiently and that we can afford our budgets, and it's high volume output, very short amount of time. So those are the real challenges, is meeting the demands of production. As far as the acting goes, that's what I do. That's my well of emotion that I draw from, and sometimes it can be exhausting being a character and being in their shoes and experiencing their energy and keeping up with it. And then other times it can be vocally demanding, especially with games, fighting games. A lot of, it can, and the screams, which I won't demonstrate. I don't want to ruin your equipment. But Yeah, really, as far as the acting itself goes, that's what I'm born to do. So I'm good with that.
So would you say you're almost more comfortable in the studio than in the director's chair, or are these both sort of, you know, equal loves for you at this point?
Yeah, they really are, because I did set out to direct. I had done quite a bit of stage directing, and I was directing music videos and other things, and I am a writer, so merging all of those talents for me were a set of skills that I had been working on and using for some time. And the thing that I really love the most is diversity. So being able to be an actor one day, being able to direct on a production the next, changing it up, doing a little bit of recording music, writing. I really like that my day can consist of a lot of different elements within my profession. That's what I love. There's no grind, you know. I work with amazing talent, and it's very inspiring.
And I'm sure coming to a convention like Otakon sort of helps to break up any grinds that might be there.
You know, this is the cherry on top. Who knew that we'd ever have an opportunity to interact with fans,
Right.
and on such an intimate level, especially in a world that we're in today where celebrities are so protected because of the obvious dangers that, you know, could arise. But that's just on top of everything else, to be able to really have a give back like that is just tremendously wonderful. It's so generous and so inspiring and so wonderful, and you can get a big head quick. I'll be an anime queen this weekend, but when I get home tomorrow, it's right back to cleaning the cat box. So I'll be grounded. I'll be back in my my normal state.
Sure. Now you've been coming to these conventions for a number of years now. Do you have any, you know, particular wacky stories out of these conventions, as I'm sure have arisen over the many years you've been attending?
You know, the wacky has become the norm. So I'm kind of unfazed now.
Yeah.
I get such a kick out of it. You know, I'm a passionista. I seek passion and the highlights of emotion in life. And to see people acting out their passions and their fantasies, and in costume and, you know, performance and enthusiasm is just so infectious. I love it. I think it's adorable, and I just really, really appreciate that it has become a family interest for many people. And I just encourage parents so much for supporting their kids' interest and knowing what their kids are interested in and having some kind of influence and being engaged. And when families come through an autograph line and every one of them equally know the material, it's just such an honor.
Awesome.
It's great.
And I guess my last question would be, what do you have coming down the pipeline that we can look out for in the future?
I have several things going on. I've been involved with the Tales of series for many years. We're working on those. I've got roles for Mattel on Polly Pockets and Monster High and Ever After High. And I'm playing Lizzie Hearts, and she's sort of a very uptight younger version of her mother, the Queen of Hearts. And I'm working a bit on Doraemon and Tamagotchi, and finishing up Bleach, working on Naruto, Knights of Sidonia. That's pretty exciting. So I actually have a lot coming up.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for visiting with me.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.